Read this carefully, because if this describes you, you're not lost, you're not lazy, and you're definitely not broken. You are living in a psychological state most people don't even have the language to describe. It's the feeling of being present but not alive, of watching your own moments like scenes from a movie, of hearing yourself speak and thinking, that doesn't even sound like me, of moving through your day as if you're controlling your body from somewhere far away. This is not normal zoning out. This is not daydreaming. This is something deeper, something far more unsettling. It's the silent experience of people who no longer feel connected to their own life, as if their mind is sitting in the audience, watching their body perform a script it didn't write. And here's the part that scares people the most. You can be successful, functional, and smart and still feel this way. You can laugh, work, post online, talk to friends, and yet something inside you whispers, this isn't really me. I'm acting, I'm performing, I'm not actually living. So what causes this? Psychologists call this state derealization or depersonalization, but that label doesn't explain the emotional truth. The truth is this: you feel like you're watching your life because you've spent years disconnecting from yourself in order to survive. Every time you swallowed your feelings so people wouldn't get upset, you stepped further away from your own life. Every time you said I'm fine when you weren't, a little piece of you faded into the background. Every time someone made you feel like your emotions were too much, you learned to detach from them. And every time you betrayed your own desires to keep the peace, you taught your mind to stop participating. Eventually your mind didn't feel like part of your body anymore. Your inner world became distant, blurred, almost muted, like a voice speaking from behind glass. You're not watching your life because you want to. You're watching it because your nervous system decided that feeling disconnected was safer than feeling hurt. This psychological state is the mind's final shield. If I cannot escape the world, I will escape myself. And the strangest part, no one around you notices. You can be standing in a room full of people, smiling, talking, and no one sees that the real you is miles away, sitting behind the curtain. But here's the truth you've never been told. This distance you feel, it didn't come out of nowhere. It's the result of a lifetime of emotional survival strategies, ones you learned because you had to. You didn't choose to disconnect. You adapted. And now you're left with a question that terrifies you more than anything. How do I come back to myself? That's what we're going to unravel next. There's a moment in life when you stop being the main character and you become the observer. You watch yourself laugh. You watch yourself talk. You even watch yourself struggle. But you don't feel any of it. It's like your emotions are happening in another room, and you're trying to listen through the walls. You see the movement, the gestures, the reactions, but there's no weight behind them. No gravity, no impact. And here's the terrifying part. You get good at hiding it. People around you think you're fine. They think you're normal. They think you're living your life like everyone else. But inside, you're a spectator trapped behind the glass of your own existence. The first sign, your life feels prescripted. Like you're following a role you never chose. People in this state often describe a strange sensation. A feeling that they're simply performing the correct line at the correct moment. You smile because you're supposed to. You nod because that's the expected reaction. You respond automatically, like a character in a movie reading dialogue written years ago. This is the psychology of emotional detachment. The mind's last attempt to protect you when life becomes too overwhelming, too unpredictable, or too painful. When reality feels too sharp to touch, you stop touching it. Instead of living, you begin imitating. Instead of acting, you begin reacting. Instead of feeling, you begin pretending. And somewhere along the way, the performance becomes your personality. The second sign, your memories feel like footage, not experiences. People who watch their life instead of living it often describe their past in a very specific way. It feels like it happened to someone else. Like I remember the scene, but not the feeling. Like I'm recalling a video, not a moment. This is textbook dissociation. A silent psychological drift where the mind separates from emotional experience to avoid drowning in it. Imagine being the camera instead of the human in the scene. You see everything, but you don't exist in it. Your memories become clips. Your life becomes a timeline. Your identity becomes blurry. The third sign: you struggle to feel present, even in moments that should matter: birthday dinners, conversations, achievements, arguments, even pain. Nothing hits the way it should. You're there physically, but your awareness floats somewhere above you, like a silent witness observing without participating. This is not laziness, not weakness, not being dramatic. It is a survival mechanism, a psychological autopilot created by years of overstimulation, emotional exhaustion, or unmet needs. Your mind learned that being in the moment is dangerous, so it pulled you out of it. And now you live in two worlds, the one you move through and the one you watch. And here's the most haunting part. You can get so used to this state that it becomes your entire identity, a way of being, a way of surviving, a way of avoiding the sharpest parts of life by never fully touching life at all. But this detachment, this emotional distance, this internal fading, it always has a cause, a moment, a wound, a psychological breaking point. In the next part, we go deeper. We uncover why this happens and the hidden pain that forces people to become observers instead of participants. There is a specific moment, quiet, sudden, and terrifying, when people who feel like observers finally notice it. They can predict their own reactions because they've stopped choosing them. Life moves, and they just follow the script. They laugh when they're supposed to, nod when required, smile on cue, say yeah, I'm fine like it's a pre-recorded message. And the scariest part, no one around them notices the difference, because the performance is flawless. This is the psychology of dissociation, wrapped in social perfection. A person becomes so good at meeting expectations that their personality becomes a collage of what other people need, not who they actually are. The mind adapts, the soul retreats, and the person becomes a silent witness to their own existence. Inside, they whisper, "This isn't me, but I don't know who else to be." The paralyzing loop of "I should be feeling something." People stuck in observer mode often carry a silent guilt. They think something is wrong with them because they can't feel life deeply. Birthdays, relationships, achievements, moments that should spark warmth feel strangely flat, like watching a movie with the sound off. This isn't apathy. This is emotional burnout disguised as calm. Their brain is overloaded, so it numbs itself for survival. Not because they don't care, but because caring has become exhausting. So they drift. They watch life happen instead of experiencing it. They see their own memories like scenes from someone else's documentary. This creates a second loop. They feel disconnected. They blame themselves for it. The guilt deepens the disconnect. They retreat even further into observer mode. It's a quiet psychological prison. No bars, no walls, just a mind stuck in neutral. Why they can't break the glass between them and their life? Because the glass was built to protect them. People who feel like spectators have usually survived something: chronic stress, emotional neglect, pressure to perform environments where authenticity was unsafe, years of suppressing emotions. To stay strong, their mind learned one lesson: feeling too much is dangerous. So the brain does the only thing it can. It numbs the intensity, distance the emotions, blur the edges. You function, but you don't arrive. You exist, but you don't enter your own life. This isn't weakness. This is adaptation. You don't watch your life because you're broken. You watch your life because, somewhere along the way, it hurt too much to live inside it fully. The observer self became your shield, but now it has become your cage. There comes a moment, quiet, hollow, almost impossible to explain, when a person realizes they aren't in their life anymore. They're only observing it, like sitting in the back row of a movie theater, watching someone who looks like them speak, move, smile, pretend. This is the inner fracture no one sees, because on the surface, they're fine. They speak, they work, they laugh at the right moments, they nod at the right sentences, They move through the world with the skill of an actor who's memorized their lines. But inside they're staring through a glass wall they never asked for. This psychological split is not laziness, not indifference, not a lack of personality, it's disconnection. A deep, chronic form of dissociation, born from years of emotional overstimulation, invisible pain, or living a life that never once felt like theirs. And here's the truth nobody likes to admit. You don't drift out of your life unless something inside you has been screaming for years. And nobody listened. People who feel like spectators in their own existence often carry over-controlled emotions. They learned early that expressing too much was wrong, dangerous, or inconvenient. Chronic self-monitoring, always watching themselves from outside, judging, adjusting, editing, a collapsed sense of agency. Life started making choices for them, and somewhere along the way, they stopped pushing back. A deep fear of authenticity, because being fully themselves once led to rejection, conflict, or shame. A belief that their desires don't matter, so they obey routines instead of living experiences. So the mind protects itself the only way it knows how. It steps out. It detaches. It watches. It survives. And the person becomes a ghost in their own story, present, but untouched, moving, but not feeling, existing, but not participating. Here is the darkest part. When you watch your life long enough, you begin to believe it isn't yours anymore. You begin to think, this is just how I am. This is just my personality. This is just the way life works. But the truth is far more painful and far more empowering. You're not broken. You're not emotionless. You're not disconnected by nature. You're disconnected because you adapted. Because life forced you to survive in a way that required distance. What you're feeling isn't the absence of a soul. It's the presence of a soul that hasn't been allowed to participate. And that realization is the beginning. Because once you understand why you detached, you can learn how to return. Once you see the cage, you can finally search for the door. If you've ever felt like you're watching your own life instead of living it, here's the truth no one tells you. This observer mode isn't proof that you're broken. It's proof that a part of you is waiting for the moment you stop abandoning yourself. Waiting for the moment you stop treating your own life like a movie you didn't ask to star in. Waiting for the moment you finally sit in the director's chair and say, "Cut. We're doing this scene again." Because people who feel like spectators in their own story usually share one thing. They learned early that being present was dangerous. Maybe every time you expressed a real feeling, someone shut you down. Maybe your needs were ignored so many times that you started ignoring them too. Maybe life threw so many unpredictable moments at you that detaching became your safest weapon. And now, you're older. Your life has changed. But the old coping mechanism is still running in the background like a forgotten program. Don't feel too much. Don't be to hear. Just watch. So you drift. You float. You exist in the space between presence and absence. You observe your own actions like they belong to someone else. You replay conversations in your head like you're reviewing footage from a documentary. But here is the quiet, powerful turning point. The moment you start listening to that feeling instead of fighting it, you realize it was never here to hurt you. It was here to protect you. Feeling like you're watching your life is the psyche's way of saying something inside you deserves to be reclaimed. Not hustled, not forced, not bullied into existing. Reclaimed. And that reclamation starts small. Not with a massive life change. Not with a dramatic transformation montage. But with a moment, a tiny moment, where you let yourself come back into your body. It might be noticing your breathing for 10 seconds. It might be saying no when you usually default to "it's fine." It might be feeling an emotion without immediately stepping outside of yourself to analyze it. These moments are microscopic, but they are re-entry points. Every time you choose presence, even for a heartbeat, you're teaching your mind, it's safe to be here now. It's safe to participate. It's safe to live. And slowly, so slowly you won't notice it at first, you stop being the spectator. You stop being the ghost in your own timeline. You start experiencing instead of observing. You start speaking up instead of rehearsing responses later. You start making choices instead of waiting for life to choose for you. You start inhabiting your own story instead of watching it unfold like a stranger. Because the truth is this: you were never meant to watch your life from the outside. You were meant to feel it, shape it, direct it, live it. And the moment you step back inside yourself, even tentatively, even awkwardly, even with fear shaking in your bones, your life finally recognizes you again. It looks at you and says, "There you are. I've been waiting.